Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate all of your support. Shout out to the 19, all 15,000 strong. You are the reason I get to continue to do these videos, and I truly do appreciate it because it is a blast. It is sometimes a frustrating blast, but it is a blast nonetheless. And whether I am going to a deep dive on basketball, complaining, ranting, raving, it is, believe it or not, always fun and a little bit tongue in cheek. That's what I think a lot of fans don't understand. But anyway, do me a quick favor if you've been enjoying the content. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hype on mobile, notification bell. It really does make all of the difference in the world. So, we are going to talk a little bit Stephanie White because I want to play a short clip. It's only about 30 seconds. I want you to listen to some of the things she said that I want to talk about that I think are a little bit of a red flag, and she's using development as a way to get people on board with changing Caitlin's game because they are not the same thing, which is what I want to get into as well. I want to talk a little bit. Yes, we're getting into the weeds a little bit. If you're a true basketball fan, to talk a little bit about development and what that looks like compared to what Stephanie White is saying. And part of the reason I wanted to kind of do this video anyway when I saw this clip, but I also then got inspired by Annika, who is a follower who watches the channel. I follow her as well. We've talked basketball many times, and she had a comment about this because she said something about White and development. And I, tongue in cheek, she knows I'm always being sarcastic. I was like, don't start becoming a Stephanie White glazer. And she said, I've always had a healthy amount of skepticism for White, which I have voiced before. At the same time, I like to see Caitlin growing her game to become more versatile. And I thought, yeah, I definitely have to do this video because Stephanie White is using this idea of developing and adding more to her game as a way to change Caitlin's game and take her away from her strengths. So I want to get into why that is a bad idea. It's not so much about Stephanie White as it is this idea of what it looks like to grow a player's game and to develop their game. But anyway, let's take a listen to Stephanie White, who's only about 30 seconds long.
Room for growth. Really managing the game. Managing, where we get her teammates on the floor and how we get them looks. Managing the way to manipulate the defense to get what you want. I think she's going to continue to improve, and you've already seen it in her ability to get to the rim. I keep telling her that we're going to add a post-up game too because she's got really great size. And she's got great touch around the rim, and if she can add that, then being a facilitator from that position on the floor is another area.
If you listen to that carefully, first of all, that first part of it, right, talking about where she can get her teammates the ball on the court and manipulating defenses and everything. Caitlin Clark excels at that. No matter how good you are at something, you can always get better. But to say that that's something she needs to do in terms of growth is absurd. She's far, far better at it than Stephanie White could ever be, not just as a player, but as a coach. So that right there is silly. And then you get into the developing a post game thing and about her great size and all that. But did you catch where she went with that? Facilitating for teammates. Everything in this clip for Stephanie White about Caitlin Clark was about her teammates, about using Caitlin for her teammates, sacrificing Caitlin for her teammates. Because here's what a lot of people seem to be forgetting because Caitlin Clark is such an insanely good passer, sees the court so well, has all of it, the vision, the risk taking, the mentality, and then the skill to deliver passes that no one else even sees. She's a scorer. She's a scorer first. She's a scorer at heart. She led the NCAA in scoring with all-time record, including beating out Pistol Pete Maverick for a reason, because she's a scorer. Scorer first, facilitator second. Now, about this development stuff, because it's, again, a little bit disingenuous. Players can develop and they can get better and they can add to their game without completely taking away the things that make them great. Okay. When Michael Jordan entered the NBA, he did not have a very good outside jump shot. He did not have that patented turnaround fadeaway. He worked on it. He added it to his game. But those were things that you naturally do as a player and you get better at. Michael Jordan didn't completely change his game. Michael Jordan didn't go away from the things that made Michael Jordan great. And to that point, and again, apologies, little bit into the weeds, but I hopefully you enjoy this and gives you a little bit of an insight. This is something I've talked about a lot with my players. And you see this. I will use professional examples. There's always this thing about, hey, you got to work on those weaknesses. You got to train those weaknesses. Bring up those weaknesses. Sounds good, but it's a great way to limit a great player. And here's what I mean by that. Yes, you have to be at a certain level at all things in order to play at a high level, right? So if you're like, I'm left-handed, I'm left-footed. So in soccer, I had to be able to dribble well enough with my right. I had to be able to pass and shoot well enough with my right, but it was never going to be my left. Same thing with basketball, right? I had to be able to dribble with both hands. I had to be able to go to my right to get to the basket. And for the most part, I had to be able to shoot certain shots around the basket, like layups and, floaters and some, 3 and 4 foot with my right. But my right was never going to be my left. And if I had spent all my time in those sports working on my right, I would have been a much worse player than I was if I had spent more time working on my strengths. Soccer's a great example, right? Messi, one of the greatest of all time. So even if you're not a soccer fan, you know who he is. Left-footed. Most of his goals are left-footed. He goes to his left, but he's good enough with his right to do others. And I'll give you, here's one of the greatest examples. There's a guy who played for the Dutch national team for a long time, was a pro in Germany, played for Bayern Munich. Fantastic player. Robin was his last name. And his patented move, he played inverted. So he played on the right side, but he was left-footed. And he had the greatest left-footed bending shot into the far upper 90, the far upper corner from the right side at the top of the box that anyone has ever seen. And he scored most of his goals that way. And yeah, you think, oh, well, people knew it was coming. Well, he was good enough going to his right, going wide, and getting around defenders and going baseline and being able to pick out teammates with passes and crosses inside the box that you had to account for that. And he was so good with cutting back and going to his left and going parallel with the top of that box and bending that ball into that far upper corner that it was still unstoppable. You knew it was coming, like maybe the Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston pick and roll. You knew it was coming. You know Caitlin's step back three to her left is coming, but you're not stopping it. And if coaches were like with him were like, no, you've got to work on those weaknesses. You've got to expand your game. He wouldn't have been an all-time great for the Dutch national team, right? Weaknesses need to get to a certain level. Caitlin Clark has a much better mid game and rim game than a lot of people realize because she doesn't have to use it very often. And I don't know which ones they are. I wish I could pick them out for you because I've done them here and there. In fact, in a video I just dropped that I think dropped today as well, there's a great example of a shot that she takes. But you see it here and there. You see it in flashes. I can think of a play last year, or might even been a rookie year, where she went to go baseline and then she hit a turnaround fadeaway off of 1 foot. I saw that. I think it might have been for Team USA or it was a preseason game where she was driving into the lane, kind of fake going to her right, pulled a 360 spin around, a little bit of a fade, took about a 12-foot shot that she dropped. I've seen her with the running teardrop into the lane. I mean, she's got all that stuff, right? She's got all that stuff. She can hit a variety of shots in that 6 to 10 foot range. She's shooting like 90% from two. People will talk about she doesn't have a mid game. She's like, oh man, 10 of 12, I think, in the first two games from 2 point range. Okay, so it's not like she doesn't have those things in her game. She has those things in her game. So there's no doubt you can continue to expand a little bit, but there's a difference between adding to your game and completely changing your game to focus on and work on things that make you less of a player. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully y'all enjoy this. I'm really interested to see what the views are on this because I don't even know what kind of thumbnail I'm going to use or anything because there's no, there's not a lot of drama in this one. So I don't know if I got your attention or not. Hopefully I did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate it. It makes it makes me able to do this. I don't know what else to say. I don't think viewers get enough love often enough. So thank you.